Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing what has become a little bit of a slog of a tutorial of MySQL and Python. Last episode was a little bit painful as we were sort of doing some research on the fly. So I jumped ahead a little bit and continued into my research. For those of you that were yelling at me a little bit as you were looking at what we were going through, I'll take a look at this and we'll show you what we came up with. I do want to flip back real quick. So one of the things we did is we're into this synchronization of rows. And we're in a situation where we have tables that can be synchronized, whatever, if you want to do 100 rows, you take the 100 rows. Those are good. We can set that aside. And we have that when we do the smart empty sync is we have what we call root tables. Those, awesome. We can just pull our data in and we're off and running. But now the non-root tables is where it gets a little more tricky, because what we have to do is we're going to have to go through those and figure out what the references are. And last time we got a little bit stuck on that, but it exists in the information schema key column usage. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a star first for this, just so you can see it all. For posterity's sake, I guess. And I'm just going to go all the way through. Yep. So reconnect here. And it's going to take a second. And so what you're going to see with these is you'll see what your schema is. It's got what the constraint name is, which is pretty darn important. The catalog, well, you don't really need that one. Table schema, because this is constraint schema versus table schema. And then you have, so table schema, table name, column name, and then you have a reference table schema, reference table name. Now, what we're going to do with these is, if you remember last time around, we were going through, let's see, here we go. We were going to go through each of these. And we were going through the referential constraints, and let me do that. Where is referential constraints? There we go. So we're going through these, and we were finding our constraint names, and we were saying, okay, we know that they're referencing this other table, but how do we build that out? We need to know the column, the table, and the column in both the source and the destination. So so if table A, column 1, is actually a foreign key reference to table B, column D, we'll call it, then, or column 4, then what you need to do is build the foreign key relationship based on those 4 pieces of data. And we talked about that last time, where we were looking, we had sort of like this, we're trying to build out this query here, which is basically from the, we're trying to get from our table, our parent table, all of the values where that column exists in the other one. And so let me do this so a little bit here. So if we've got like table A and we have table B, then, and if we have this column, let's say, and let's just say it's ID, in here it's going to be FK, the foreign key ID. So basically when we're getting table B data, what we need to do is instead of, or I'm sorry, when we're getting the table A data, is that right? Nope, when we're getting the table B data, we only need to fill it in with data where the ID is equal to the ID in table A. And so we do this in this big, nasty query kind of thing, because what we're going to do is we're going to say from our table, which is the reference table name, and this is from here. So from our key column usage table, we've got a reference table, reference column, and then a column and a table. And so in this case, we have contract performer ID refers to performer ID. So in this case, we're going to take performer, which we got from the referenced table name, where performer ID, which is the column name, is in, and then we're going to do select distinct column name from the parent. So if I take that and get rid of those, just to show you in this case, let me get rid of this. And then what we're going to see is this is the data we're actually going to pull, because it's the only data that really matters, because the other columns that are in, the other data that is in this case, the performer table, we don't need, because contract is where we're looking at. So we only have these three fields that we care about from contract. And if we do select star from contract, there's probably only 3 rows in there. In contract, oh, okay, so there's a couple there, but we only need the distinct ones. But if we look at performers, we're going to see that there's probably a buttload of, sorry, that's a technical term, a lot of rows that are in performer, and we only need 3 because we only need to match them up to contract at this point. Now, it's not necessarily, because it could be there could be information that we need from performer elsewhere, but from contract, we know that we're not limiting it on number of rows. We're limiting it based on what are the rows that exist in performer. So in this case, we're going to build this thing out. And so we're going to come into here, and then what we're going to do with each of these, for the non-root tables, we're going to see if it exists. So if we've got that table, then what we need to do is for each of the rows, and this is that referential constraint. So let me go back to that one so I can sort of show you what we're going to do with this. So this one, what we're going to do for each one of these rows, we're going to come through to this constraint name, which is, constraint name is 1. Did I actually build that out right? Oh, here we go. And, oh, I may need to, oh, because that's the constraint name, that's the table name, that's the parent. I may need to, okay, maybe I didn't get that filled all the way out. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to say, hey, here's a, in this case, here's a table. Here's something that I need to deal with, reference table name, blah, blah, blah. What I really need here is the constraint name. So what I can probably do here is for each of these is come through, let's see, load parent data. Let me see if I've got it up there. I may have to, parent data. Oh, or is that below? Okay, let's see. Parent table data, parent table data. Okay, all right, so that's right. So if I look up at parent table data, then what I'm going to do with each of those is I'm going to give it a table and a parent, which I probably don't really need. Oh, and so this is going to say for that table, I need to see if it's loaded, because now what I need to do is I need to walk in and say, okay, for each of these tables, reference table, where's that at? Oh, it's over here. So for the reference table, for each of those, I'm going to have to go check to see if it is a root that has already been loaded or not. And so what I can do here is I've got this imported tables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, and so for here, for example, as I load them, I go into imported tables. I actually add it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be passing that in. And I probably should pass it back out. Yeah, let's do that. So imported, tables equals. So I'm going to have to pass that back out, which means for load parent table data, which is here, one of the things I want to do is I want to do return, imported, is that imported rows? That should be imported tables. Oh, imported tables, and then imported tables. So we'll keep that the same name. So he's going to pass it back in. So what I need to do here is I'm going to say here, I'm going to change this up a little bit because I'm going to say I want to go through okay, so I'm going to have to go through its parents. And so here I'm going to say go through each of those tables. I'm probably going to be easier to, for each of these, let's see, if it's less than 0, oh, I don't need that. So I want to get its parent. So this is, I want to do this one. I'm going to do cursor, oh, I need cursor source. So what I want to do for this is I'm going to go through and I'm going to say for each of the tables, let's see, FK rows. What is FK rows? That is fetch all. So here, let's see. Oh, I may be able to get rid of this. I really just need here for each of these. I'm going to do, I'll probably do it this way. So I'm going to do for parent in FK rows. And then I'm going to do if parent 0, so if the reference table name is imported rows, then I'm just going to, if it's not in imported rows, then I need to import it. So I'm going to have to do load parent table data. I'm going to do imported, oh, it's not imported rows, it's imported tables. And then imported tables equals that. And I'm going to give it table, which is, oops, which is now parent 0. Oh, that's going to be parents because I already have a parent up there. And that's going to be like that. Load parent table, parent 0, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then it's going to be the table. Ooh, all right. I may have to adjust this a little bit. Let me look at this. Wait a minute. So I'm going to come through here. And I'm going to say for each of these, I need to check it for the parent, which I can probably. Oh, okay. Let's clean this up a little bit. Because what I can do here is I can say, let's see, so if it's greater than 0, okay, then rows and rows. Oh, here we go. I'm doing that. So I'm going to load the parent data. So the parent data basically needs to go through this same thing. So let me see if I can get this right this time. So he's going to go through the same thing here. And why did I send it parent? Parent is a row. Oh, so I'm going to back it back out. I don't know why I need the table there, though. That's a good question. Because if I load the parent table data, I can probably do it with just the parent in the imported tables. Because now I'm basically going to do, actually I can do it like this. Actually, let's simplify it even a little bit more. So, okay, I'm going to say if parent not in imported rows, then I'm going to load the parent. Else, load data for this table. And that is going to be, I'm going to build out this little thing. And this query, so this is going to be the smart load SQL equals this big thing. But first what we need is this guy. And actually we could probably, whoop, we don't need that guy. Oh, we do, because we need it with the, so that's with the constraint name. There we go. Okay. So here, first we need to, get the columns and tables. And that's going to be, this is the, we'll call it the call SQL. Let's just call it source SQL. And this is going to be where that equals, and let's just put it like here. And this is going to be, and we need the constraint name, which is here out of FK rows. It's going to be row 1. And then, so for each of these, so for that, we're going to come in and we're going to say, let's go execute it. And we want to execute it on the source, which is fine. So let's do here, source SQL. And this will be, we're going to call this source row equals fetch all. And then all we need here, this is going to be, did we grab the, no we didn't. So let's go ahead and grab with this the constraint schema. Constraint schema, because then, there we go. Because what we need here is we're going to be, where am I building that? Here. So let's do this. Schema, let's do just temp. Temp schema. Nah, we'll leave it the way it is. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say select from, and then this is going to be, and let's go ahead and do these. So the first thing we get is row 0, whoops, which is because it's the constraint schema. This is going to get really complicated, so we are going to actually end up pausing here in a second. But so here, so you got the constraint schema dot. Actually, I think I can do the whole thing like this. Let's see what happens. Dot the reference table name, which is row 1, and then I want the referenced column name, which again will be, we'll do this just to protect that because we can, and that's going to be row reference column name is 012, and then it's sort of saying, so let me do this just to speed this up a little bit. So performer ID is the column name, which is 3. Column 3, and this is column 4, and we've got to come back over here to where we did this thing, And we're going to do it like this. Let's see if this will work. How far do we get from that? Yeah, there we go. So that should give us our smart load. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have to execute that. Smart load SQL. We're going to have to go ahead and execute that and then use that to insert into the other. We're going to build that out and insert into the target row. So that's going to be non-trivial in itself. And loading the parent is basically going to be the same thing. And so we may find a way to clean this up a little bit, but it's basically going to be go load the parent and then possibly load the parent, possibly load the parent. So may find a way to clean this up. But that is a little cliffhanger for the next time around because we've gone a little long. So I want to keep it short. I know this is a little bit of trudging through stuff, but this is really this is really probably the most complicated piece, I think, as you're seeing, of the work we're going to do in this synchronization. And once it's done, it's going to be pretty stinking cool. That being said, I hope your day is pretty stinking cool. Go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.